Thanks, Callan, and hope everyone's had a lovely afternoon tea and ready for our final session before closing today. So with me here we have, in no particular order, Darian Judge from the ABS, Daniel Slavin from Sunpork and Jake Grulke from Sunpork, Kirk Chechnich, who's a graphic designer, Hunter Booth from NAB and Alan Bryce from ANZ, all working through our program. So even though I've done a little intro, I'm going to get them to give you a bit more intro on each of them. So we'll start with Alan. Introduce yourself, where you're working and what you're doing.
Okay. So hi, my name is Alan Bryce. I work for ANZ as a cybersecurity analyst. I can't really go into too much about what I do because it's I'm a cybersecurity analyst.
Pass the mic then.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Hunter Booth. I work as a security analyst for NAB, and I'm in Identity Access Management. Similar with, I can't really talk a lot about it as well, and also I'll just pass it over.
It's going well.
Hey, my name's Daniel Slavin. I am a piggery attendant for Sunpork, and I'm mostly looking after all the weaned piglets in nursery, and that's my main job.
Hey, I'm Darian Judge, and I'm a cybersecurity analyst at Australian Bureau of Statistics. I actually work in a security operations center, so basically I'm Big Brother. I see everything, I monitor everything. Yeah, there aren't any ways around the filters, so stop trying to search things you shouldn't be.
Good afternoon, my name is Kirk and I'm a freelance graphic designer. I graduated from the Bachelor of Design at Swinburne in 2017, and I've been fortunate enough to find a few freelance roles, and my most recent freelance role is I've designed the Autism at Work Summit website. And I would like to thank Andrew, Eddie and Autumn O'Connor for handing that role to me. It's been a really great privilege and I love what I do. I really enjoy creating pixel perfect designs for a variety of different audiences and users.
Hi, my name is Jake Grulke, and I also work at Sunpork Farms of Dance, and I am one of the part of the breeding team members.
Great, thanks, Jake. So we'll stick with you, and now we'll go in reverse order. So what part of being autistic do you think is a strength, and how do you think that makes you excel at your work?
With the breeding team, it's very routine, and being someone who's used to routine, I can just snap onto that pretty easily, and yeah, it just helps out with my work a lot, just having someone just staying focused on the same job all the time.
Would you like me to repeat it? Yeah. So what part of being autistic do you think is a strength for you, and how do you think that makes you excel at your work in graphic design?
Okay, so as a graphic designer, I have a strong visual memory and acute attention to detail. Those two strengths allow me to spot the mistakes in a design or to improve a design. And it makes me excel because
So I think you're excelling by making it correct.
Yeah, excelling by
perfect
making
design.
Yeah, by doing design. Yes.
So I wasn't really sure about this one. I feel like I have pretty good attention to detail, and I'm really persistent. I also kind of challenge myself to improve the efficiency of my job. So I've managed to turn a 2-person everyday job into literally just a daily task. So that's pretty cool. I also I'm really passionate about making that faster without actually becoming lazy and skipping things. And I think in my role, big thing is that you get so many alerts that noise becomes an issue. You know, there's so much going on. Some people get lazy and they miss things which are actually important. So I like that I don't do that. And yeah, I've been told that I work really hard. So I guess that's a cool plus.
Yeah, well, the biggest strength I think I have is having a different perception towards things. Like, there can be two people in the room. One of them could be me, and one person sees it in one certain way, and I'll see it in a different way, and that can lead to different perspectives, as well as finding a way to find a solution that can solve both perspectives, especially at my work, and I think that's what I can excel at if I put my mind to it.
Well, a lot of the comments earlier just sort of covers what I was going to say. Strength-wise, following routine instructions, following the proper process for doing your job, finding to reduce, I guess, the human element of error to a point by over-checking, making sure everything is correct and standard, as well as noticing mistakes or flaws or issues that show up in my line of work from past works or things that may not have been transferred correctly. I guess the ability to notice these issues and able to bring them up and forewarn so they don't become bigger issues later down the process and may cause a lot longer process of fixing issues that might come from these original problems. Otherwise, it's mostly routine in a lot of ways. So I'll pass this over.
Thank you. Lucky last. I would echo a lot of similar sentiments to all of you. It's a very common trait of autism. Something that I think would be unique to me is I feel like I can bring the best out of a team environment. Like, I notice strengths and weaknesses of my teammates, and I can help them achieve the best that they can while also helping myself. I do have a high attention to detail, and I can recognize patterns really well, and that's great for my role because that's essentially what I need to do. But I definitely get the most out of my job by working with my team and helping us as a team facilitate what we need to do to better help the bank.
Excellent answers from all of you. Next question, so Alan, starting with you. Were there any aspects of the recruitment process for your current job that made the process better for you?
The support. I could just go on and on about the support. It was fantastic. There was a period during the assessment centre where I wanted to leave because I didn't feel like I was worthy of it. I didn't feel like I was good enough. But through the support of the Dandelion program and DXC, it helped so much. And when I transitioned into ANZ, it was the same thing. We still had the same support. You know, it was even more so. And any issues that we had, they were just addressed. You know, it was fantastic.
Great.
I'll echo Alan's comment. The support has been amazing. It's been great help during the process and at NAB as well. One of the things I would like to bring up is we're able to show what we can do in a productive and physical way instead of just try and answer a couple of questions and say what the person interviewing us wants us to say without knowing what they want us to say. So it's nice able to go into depth on questions or to actually show the practical elements of what we could offer during our trial period of 3 weeks, I guess you could say, during the workshop, that let us show that we're helpful, we can actually do these things instead of trying to tick a box on a list that doesn't easily apply to us.
Sure. So could you give us a little quick example of the sort of practical part of that assessment?
We're asked to design educational programs for the download program involving now, if everyone's heard of the machine and all, we were charged with making education. But this helped me a lot because before that I actually helped made an educational game for a group once and all. So I had some experience and I was able to show this off in a way that showed I can actually help in program, project work and help people learn things and introduce. It was really entertaining and was interactive and was able to engage me more. And instead of looking at a person, get asked questions and then worry all the time that did I answer correct, did I answer wrong, or not getting even feedback at all. It's probably the worst element of what did I do wrong? Or wasn't there nothing wrong with me, it was just they found somebody better. And that was one of the biggest issues I had with interviews or trying to find work is I never got feedback. And it was extremely stressful and frustrating as I couldn't figure out how to improve myself or how to fix my issues to get a job. You know. I'll stop here and pass it on to the next person.
Thank you. The process I was involved with was actually really good because it allowed us to demonstrate our practical skills as well as the skills and the qualities that we said in our interviews so that we can show the best that we can do in the workplace. For example, like looking after the pigs. And that turned out really well, and that made us felt more comfortable rather than just an interview with all the resumes and cover letters. That puts a lot of pressure on all of us. Right.
So for me, I think the best part of it was the scenario response. I really liked that I was given problems to solve. When it comes to, I guess, classic interviews, I'm not the most confident sort of person, I guess. I don't really know how to talk myself up, and I feel like interviews seem to be really about lip service. I mean, you don't actually have to be suitable for the position. You don't have to be good at the job. You just have to be able to pretend you are, right? Like, as long as you can say you are and they believe you, yeah, cool, you got the job. You don't actually have to demonstrate it. And the weirdest part is they always put people into teams. So you're sitting there by yourself in an interview, I guess, debating why you are the best person for a team. There was no teamwork involved in that interview. You didn't have to prove that. In the program I was in, we actively were put into teams, we were rotated into different positions. You had to work under a team leader, you had to be a team leader, and there were different people in the teams each week. I thought it was really, really intuitive and a really good supportive program. I had a lot of concerns. I had a lot of times when I was really anxious and I didn't even know why I had gotten as far as I had. And there was not a time that I felt I couldn't go and just talk to the people hosting the program. And they supported me and just sat down and listened to me. And it's really good. Sometimes you don't really know why you feel something, but then people are actually there to listen to you and everything feels better afterwards. So yeah, support.
Great, thanks, Darian.
So being a freelancer, I didn't go through any formal recruitment process. However, I did work at a studio, a 3D rendering studio called Raw 3D in St Kilda. As with the freelancing, I didn't go through any formal recruitment process. I got a referral from a friend, and when I went there for an interview, I showed the manager my portfolio. His name was Andrew Clarkson. And I also showed him my resume, and I told him about myself, about the work I was doing, and that I graduated from advanced diploma level. And he was nice enough to take me on as a casual 3D rendering assistant, and he introduced me to a lot of great programs which I had no prior experience in. One of them was Google SketchUp, and I also used a bit of Blender, and I was really enjoying it. And being a freelancer, you have to make the effort, as opposed to working in a studio environment. You have to constantly market yourself. You have to constantly find new opportunities yourself. So, like, they both have their pros and cons, but one of the biggest challenges, as I was saying, is pursuing different opportunities. And also, I've also learned that you've also got to pursue opportunities that you're genuinely interested in, and from organisations who whose values also resonate with you. And there's not much point in doing something you don't like, even if it's to do with design, like even if it lies under the core umbrella of design. For example, like you like doing digital design, but you find a role that involves packaging, and you may be lucky enough to get an interview, but if it's something that you're not interested in, or you prefer to do something else, then my advice would be not to pursue that, and instead pursue the opportunities that you really, really want to do. And so at the moment, I'm looking for temporary roles, and I'm also working on transitioning into digital design. My background is print and branding. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kirk.
I think for me, is like same as Dan, giving us the opportunity to show our strengths and weaknesses in the actual work environment. The starting point of that whole thing as well is when they invited us candidates into just any old office building conference room, and they had what they just nicknamed a virtual piggery. They just showed us things like what equipments are there, what are uniforms like, yada, yada, yada. They even set up like a miniaturized version of a pig pen. And yeah, they even had like a little stuffed piggy there as a representation. I saw it and I was like, wow. But they even like sat us down at the computer to like let us listen to like background noises you would experience at a piggery, like machinery noises, the pig noises, see how that works and all that. And I think for me, it's like seeing that first up before going there gave me a good heads up of what the work environment's like. And then when we're there, I was able to showcase what sort of skills I did have in that environment, because I always preferred being with animals. Like I said in another interview once, like I was a lot more comfortable being around animals. And when I was trying to job search beforehand, this opportunity I was given, I'm always going to every shop. Anytime I hear a place needs looking for someone a job, I'm always sending my resume. They say, call me back, never get anything. And I was like, oh, great.
Yeah, I think that's quite a common story of not getting a response.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. Thanks, Jake. We'll go to Alan now, just change the order up a little bit.
I was used to patterns.
You thought you were out of it. So can you tell us, what does it mean to have this job, and how has it changed your life?
It means the world, quite honestly. I couldn't really express it enough. My life has fundamentally changed in such a positive way. Before this role, there were days where I couldn't get out of bed. I had no purpose. I was miserable. It was affecting my mental health. It was affecting my family and my friends. And getting this job now, my life is completely changed. I have a future. I've got a career that I'm working towards. My social life has gotten so much better. I've made friends at ANZ and as part of the program, and I just have been experiencing new things that I never thought I would have the chance to experience before in my life. So it has just fundamentally changed my life.
Terrific, thanks.
A lot. Stability probably would be one of them. The ability to be more freedom with my choices instead of working on a very small budget. Able to put savings away is an amazing feeling. Able to save up things I may want to do in the future. Can actually think about maybe moving to a small place, maybe by myself or just with a friend, instead of being share housing with a bunch of people I don't really know. And that you can get your bad people and your good people in that. So it's always been a stressful moment. It's, I guess, and say open a lot of doors. You can get things I would like. I can get things I like. I want. I can put money away to save for emergencies instead of like have a small amount of savings and then disappears every time something unusual happens. And try to take months to try to rebuild it. Now I can actually easily rebuild it now properly. I guess it feels a lot more livable. It's a bit hard to try and put this on in very short words. It's a very changing moment in my life, getting this job in an area that I actually enjoy working in instead of just any odd job and all. Getting to know amazing people, getting to work in groups.
That's great, Hunter.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's okay. All right. It means a lot to me to have this job at the Piggery. Means a lot, and for my life, it's changed a lot, too, because I used to live in this city actually, a few years ago, and when the program came up from Sunpark, actually, I moved, gave it an odd chance, and went up for the traineeship and everything else, and got the job. I was thrilled, and through lots of stuff, I transitioned. My life just spun around and went through a whirlwind of emotions, and now I enjoyed every single bit of it. Well, most of it anyway. Yeah, so, yes, I enjoyed it very much, and I appreciated Sunpark for giving me the opportunity as well as giving me a new life and a new purpose, because back then I wasn't really happy and I was struggling to get a job until the program arrived, and yeah, it made me so much happier. All right.
Great, thank you.
So this is a pretty loaded question. I don't want to be too cheesy, but I guess backstory is that, like a lot of people, while growing up, I was told over and over that unless I change, unless I learned to be like other people, I just wouldn't get anywhere. That I was actually told that I wouldn't become a positive member of society and I wouldn't complete formal education. And when I was 16, I ended up homeless. So since then, I've been really, really afraid of ending up like that. And I guess before this, I spent every week trying to get in enough, trying to submit my resume enough times to make employment agencies happy. And it was ridiculous. Like, over 20 a week, and you just go in to get yelled at or to get told that you're not doing good enough. And I didn't really know what I was going to do or where I was going. I didn't really have any interests or motivations. Yeah, the hardest part of my day wasn't getting a job. It was getting out of bed. It was cleaning the house, making food, because I just didn't really have a reason to do anything. I got the opportunity to participate in this program, did not think anything would happen. Honestly, I didn't think that I would get into it. It felt like magic time and time again. I got accepted in, I came, I got into the 4-week program, then somehow I got a job, and I felt stability is amazing, right? Like just feeling like I can actually buy myself some nice food. I can cook meals that aren't just like 2-minute noodles or rice and tuna. I was actually eating 20 cans of tuna a week because that is the cheapest meal. I've got emergency savings now, so like if anything happens, I wake up every day. I'm excited to be alive. I'm excited to go to work, and I learn things, and I'm planning on going to university to do engineering and IT, and it's like, that's the scariest thing, but it's so exciting, and I'm really excited to see where life can take me, because there was a time when I didn't even think I'd make it this far. I didn't think I would even make it to 20 years old. I'm turning 23 this year, so pretty exciting.
Well done, Darian. Thank you.
Thank you. So, being a freelancer, this opportunity has changed my life in a lot of ways. So, as I mentioned previously, I have to pursue other opportunities, and I've been lucky enough to find a few freelance gigs, which really helps me utilize my creativity to my fullest potential. And I'd also like to add in, freelancing doesn't offer any financial security. Only a stable job really is very secure compared to freelancing. And I've been fortunate enough to find some commercial clients, and one of those clients is Playscape Creations, which is a company that specialises in the manufacture of children's play equipment. They gave me the role of designing some of their selling collateral. And another client I worked with is AusMed, which is an online learning platform for medical practitioners. I've also been redesigning some of their internal collateral. And recently I went to an event at the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre, and the event was Tim Sharp and Temple Grandin, and the most spectacular thing happened there. It was at the very end of the show when Temple Grandin was about to conclude her speech. I had my hand up for about 20 minutes, and she was just about to walk off the stage, and then just before she walked off the stage, I was handed the microphone, and everyone around me was pointing to me and saying, "Temple, this guy's got a question." And when I got her attention, I stood up and I told her my role a bit about my role as a freelancer and the work that I've been doing. I told her that, actually before that, I asked her a question, and the question was, can you recommend any resources for designing for neurodiverse individuals? And it turned into quite a lengthy kind of discussion over the microphone. She was some distance away, but long story short, I told her that I was doing freelancing, and I told her about my clients, and another client I've had is Neurodiversity Hub. And then she said, "I really like to see your portfolio," and everyone clapped. And so after the event, I was out in the foyer, and a couple of people approached me, and they said, "We would really like some design work done." And I got about 3 clients, and then I saw Temple Grandin, and she looked at my website, and like the stuff she said about it, like it was like my reaction was kind of in a grey area. Like there was some positive and negative aspects to it, but I was still thrilled I got the chance to speak to her, and it was I believe it was a real honour for that to happen. And my advice is to just keep persisting no matter what happens, and don't let your missed opportunities put you off. Thank you.
Thanks, Kirk. Great opportunity.
I really don't have anything extra to say on top of everyone else, but if I have to put in my own words, it's just the opportunity of having the job that I have, it's just, I've learned a lot in my field that I'm learning right now, having this ability to sustain my lifestyle the way I can happily, and just being around people that just understand my issues and can work around it.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Okay, Alan? You come back to me. Yeah, I'm coming to you again. So what advice do you have for employers thinking about recruiting people on the autism spectrum?
Do it.
It's been a pretty common theme most of today.
Pretty self-explanatory. Look, autistic people are just that. We're people. You know, we have hopes and dreams as well, and we can be. How can I word this? I'm going to get emotional again. I don't like when that happens.
Don't do it to me.
Oh, sorry. We can really help businesses out if given the opportunity, if given just a little bit of understanding. when I say do it, I really mean that from the bottom of my heart, because as you can hear from all of our testaments, it's changed our lives. You could change so many people's lives by giving them a shot. And, throughout at least my life, I was diagnosed with Asperger's when I was 10, so I always knew about it. And it was like this cloud that I had. I felt like I wasn't going to get anywhere in life. I felt no one would give me a chance. And that was up until I'm nearly 30 now, and I've finally found a place where I fit in. But I want that to happen to people who are 17, 18, just coming out of school. We don't want homeless, autistic people just because people don't want to give them a chance. So yeah, I really plead for you guys, if you have any sort of inclination to apply for this program, please do it.
Okay, thank you. What advice do you have for employers thinking about recruiting people on the spectrum? Apart from just do it. Yeah.
It's a hard one. We all have similarities of thinking the same way, or looking at different things differently. But at the same time, we all have our own particular areas we normally have a habit of looking to. It means we can offer a very unique way to look into things, to see things somebody else might not see, as it's been mentioned quite often. Sometimes looking at something particular, very high detail instead of a big picture, but we also sometimes can do big pictures more than we see the details. We see connections in places maybe not. So we can give a very diverse, as it's mentioned, diversity is quite a lot, into looking things differently. We have those strong, but the thing is, at the same time, these things have helped us make us who we are, but at the same time, we've had our troubles, as mentioned, as ticking a sheet, trying to talk to a person, or mentioning that teamwork, but not getting actually shown that we do a teamwork is, I guess, in some ways, be straightforward, give constructive criticism to us, and Olive Branch will offer us a chance, and we'll probably go a mile trying to show what we can do and help do our best we can and work together. As it's
That's all right. Thank you, Hunter. That's really well said. Thank you.
The only advice I can give is to see the ability, not the disability. Because throughout my life, I've seen people on the spectrum have deeply believe in their dreams and their passions. And they have the best talents I have ever seen in my life. And they should also look at our strengths as well as our weaknesses, so they can help us improve and to be better at our talents than ever before.
Thank you.
So I can only really speak for myself, since a really wise person once told me that once you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. And I really believe in that. I've met lots of people with autism, and they're all individual people. But in my position, I haven't really had any adjustments made for me. I'm pretty close with everyone in my section, all of my bosses, and they're pretty honest about how they expected to get a shut-in, someone in down in the basement in a dark room hacking and stuff, someone who's just gonna work all day long, and they'd have to be like, no, you have to go get lunch. No, you have to. It's not like that. I'm just a normal person. In fact, I'm more extroverted and social than most of them. I'm putting my hand up to present things, to do training workshops. I feel like one of the best pieces of advice I can give is just people with autism are just people, and you really need to see that and give them a chance, because whether or not they have magic autism powers and will increase efficiency by 200 million%, they're still people that deserve the opportunity, right?
Right.
And some actual advice, I guess, would be a lot of upper management really, really believes in the cause, but they're not going to be the people managing these employees. It's going to be way down the chain. And just because you're on board with it doesn't mean everyone else is on board with it. Everyone needs to get the memo going down the chain. HR and managers need to be on board. They need to be on the same wavelength, because one team might want something. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get it, and they might not be too happy when they get someone who is really talented but doesn't have a degree. You know, a lot of people want that person with a degree. They don't want to give a certain level of role to someone who doesn't have expected qualifications. So, I mean, that's more of a behind-the-scenes discussion, but I think it's pretty important for the relationship between the employee and the manager. Apart from that, I think good communication, and something that I benefit from is I don't just want constructive criticism when I make a mistake. I want you to tell me that I've been doing the right thing, because I try really hard and I do, from what I can tell, a pretty decent job, but I still worry I'm not doing good enough. And unless someone tells me, then I'm just gonna feel like maybe I'm not doing that good of a job, maybe I'm not doing the right thing, but that's pretty much it.
Great.
Thanks.
Sure. What advice would you give to employees thinking about employing someone with autism?
Okay, so the best advice I can give to any employer is to simply allow more time for the person with autism to adjust to the working environment and the working processes, because it can be a bit overwhelming. At first, when I was working at Raw 3D, I found the process quite overwhelming, and I kept making these constant mistakes. But as time progressed and I got more familiar with it, it just came naturally to me, and I really enjoyed the work. And I believe that the abilities of a lot of autistic people are underestimated, and I'd also like to add in that I've actually participated in the DXC Dandelion program workshop earlier this year, but unfortunately I didn't make it in because I didn't have the required skill sets, because my background is design and they were more interested in people with an IT background. Well, I also believe that creative autistic talent is underutilised at the moment, and I believe that there's a gap that needs to be filled. And another piece of advice I can give to not just those on the spectrum and not just to employers but also everyone is don't strive for perfectionism, because it's like trying to scale a mountain with no summit. You'll just never reach it. Just let your intense focus, this is for people on the spectrum, let your intense focus and attention to detail guide you. And lastly, people with autism are different, not defective. Thank you.
Well said.
This is the same thing again, like everyone else has already answered my vote.
Would you like a different question?
No, again, just like following off some of what the other guys have already said, like look at our strengths, see how our strengths work in your environment, look at our weaknesses, see how we can improve, and just let us know, right, if you're not doing this great here, you want to focus on this area to try and improve that part so you can be overall better. And also just like making the entire workforce aware that we're autistic, but we're just the same as anyone else in the world. We just want to be a part of the community.
Great, thanks. We will stay with you on Alan here's advice.
Uh-oh.
You can, speak to him later about that. What are your biggest challenges for you in the workplace?
I think for me was when I first worked at Sunpork, it was just opening up and talking to people, because beforehand I was just always wanting my own space, and I sat away from people, which also led to just never asking for help when I really, really needed help. And when I hit hard one day, I just opened up and everyone wanted to give as much help as they could. And that, yeah, it was one of the biggest things I've come to realize, that I need to start reaching out more when I need it. Thank you.
Okay. What are the biggest challenges for you in the workplace? So yes, you're freelancing, but you obviously go into offices and you have done some studio work.
Yes. I have previously mentioned my challenges, which include making the effort to market yourself and also to manage the business yourself, because when you're a freelancer, you're considered to be the business. So you're the business owner, you're the arbiter, and I've been making the effort to get my name out there and to network to find more clients. And another challenge that I've faced in the past was when I was working at Raw 3D and I was also studying design at the same time. Well, I was working part-time and I was studying full-time, and while I was studying, I also won the Dean's Outstanding Achievement Scholarship. And at first, everything went well, and then as the pace of study began to pick up, my manager just saw that I was making mistakes, and I was really hesitant, and I had to drop my study load and my workload, and unfortunately I lost the scholarship. And back then my determination was just to complete my design degree and keep working at Raw 3D. So during the semester break, I had a meeting with my boss Andrew, and he said, you've been really great, but we can't take you on anymore because we don't do graphic design anymore. We're now just purely a 3D rendering studio. And I agreed with him that graphic design was my ultimate passion, which I should pursue. And what I learned is that when you're the work you're doing has to be related directly to what you're studying. Otherwise, your mind becomes overloaded with different tasks and different subjects which don't overlap, and it just wasn't possible. I just couldn't work efficiently enough to manage the work and the study load. And so for me personally, I believe it's best that I just go through everything, just go through it just one project at a time. Thank you.
One of the challenges.
Biggest challenges, or
Biggest
any
challenge.
challenge in the workplace, doesn't have to be the biggest.
There's not that many. I guess when I first started, I'm not the greatest at just sitting down and reading tutorials and then suddenly becoming the best at something. So I ask a lot of questions. And there's always that like little voice inside, which is like, why are you asking questions? You're just annoying everyone. And after a couple days of asking questions, I just didn't want to speak anymore because I was just so anxious that everyone must hate me at this point. And I guess even though that's gotten a lot better, I actually have workplace friends now, and there are some social gatherings at the ABS which really alleviate that sort of anxiety. You know, if you can interact with people outside of work, you can actually get a gauge on how they feel about you. They're not going to bother spending time with you outside of work if they really don't like you, right? Although I've gotten better with that, I think that's still a challenge. I still find it hard to approach someone that I need to talk to about getting something done because I don't want to bother them. I don't want to be a burden on them. I still find it hard to approach someone that I really respect because I don't want to burden them with my time, I guess. But the more I work on that, it gets a lot easier. And I know I have a coworker who's on spectrum who has the same difficulties, and I've made an effort to work really closely with him so that we can support each other in that problem. He's more extreme with not asking for help. So at one point he locked himself out of his computer and he decided that the only course of action was to reformat it because, So there have been times that by talking to him, finding out what his problem was, and then reaching out to someone else, we've saved a few hours of work. But yeah, that's probably my biggest challenge.
Thank you.
One of the biggest challenges I faced when starting Sunpark was, as I mentioned before, my emotions like loneliness and sadness and frustration, even stress, due to a drastic change of lifestyle from big city to like a rural area with like a really full-on job. And also another challenge was hanging out with the wrong crowd. Let's just put it at that. But with support from really good people at the farm, like I got through with all these challenges, dealt with them properly, and now I'm more happier working there. And actually, probably more mature than I ever was before. Yeah, so.
Some of the challenges, similar to Darren, asking questions and just worrying that if I have asked the same question once or twice has been a challenge at times, worrying that am I learning or worrying about the colleagues, wondering if I'm actually learning at times. One of the most interesting I'm starting to deal with now was dealing with sending emails or Skyping people that are in director roles and all that about issues or delays, as my most experience with this level of office and hierarchy was like from books or shows. So the idea that someone upstairs could just instantly just fire you was back in my head. As once I was threatened, my job before with if I wasn't putting enough effort or was I actually belong here? If you're not, go. It was threatened to get me to work faster. Later I found out, but it was demoralizing. It scared the hell out of me. So my challenge was dealing with that emotion and actually getting to the point of it's my job to send this message. They don't have the right to go at me if I'm doing my job, and I'm sort of equal level to a point dealing with my role and all. So that's probably one of the biggest things I had to deal with, and only mostly past it now, getting to the point where I can actually have a conversation through email or Skype with these people that have been really nice and very understanding and not what I think in my top of my head in my imagination of horrors. And all. So it's been very opening and quite understanding and helpful. They've been, not very interacting this quite well.
Thanks, Hunter.
Public speaking.
Public speaking.
Yeah, it's a challenge of mine.
You've been doing it all day.
I know. Doesn't mean it's easy. Thank you. I would say one of the biggest challenges I have is I'm very self-critical. I want to help everyone around me, and in order to do so I need to learn processes and things like that, and I feel that the way that I learn is much more kind of a one-on-one situation, but I can't take my manager away from the entire team to help me learn. So learning techniques to sort of train myself to learn processes better. But the thing I find at the ANZ is that because we have so much support, a lot of the struggles that I have are not struggles for very long. I overcome them. So I feel very privileged to be in that sort of position. You're going to tease me all on Friday, aren't you? Yeah, I know.
It's recorded for a reason. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sorry, it's not a very elegant way to explain it, but I share very similar attributes to the rest of the boys. So
Great. Thank you. So I think we are pretty much at time. So I think from that, I think the key takeaways are provide feedback to the individuals and lots of support where it's needed. A lot of these people have been in really dark places from time to time, which is very sad, but it is a bit of reality in life. It's people need some help. And it's great to see them all flourishing in either in a program or doing their own businesses, which I can imagine would be quite challenging. So I admire Kirk for doing that. So I think one thing I have learnt today is that we haven't really used the word disability very much, and I think that's terrific because NAB's program is Nability. At ANZ it's the Abilities Network, and I like to use the term it's different ability. So let's stick to that, and thank everyone on the panel for their time this afternoon, and hope you've enjoyed it.